Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to our mass transit playthrough here. And as you can see, it's a very miserable start to the day. Very sort of rainy and bleh. But I've been busy. I've expanded our city grid a little bit, as you can see. I've added in a whole new section. So basically what I did was I added in this sort of commercial section with a main road, sort of a dual carriageway running through the centre of that. And then added another big residential block to allow our city the space to grow and gain the population needed to unlock the next sort of major roadblock. So you can see we are currently at around 4,800 people or so, give or take a few. We had a huge demand for residential and commercial. They have been taken care of with these new plots that have been added in. And the demand has kind of drifted off almost completely right now. You can see these buildings here are without power at the moment because they're not connected. But as more and more buildings start to go up in this area, it creates the power grid needed to actually run everything. So as you can see, I've added in a second cemetery over here. On this section over here, I've added in a police station, a fire station, and then a medical clinic. Dropped in a couple of parks and other items just to kind of add a little bit of happiness to the area. Haven't dropped schools in on this side yet because we're having a worker shortage, as you can see, in our industrial zone. So I figure if I can keep this section here uneducated, then that'll help deal with our worker shortage, which is causing our industry section to collapse at the moment. And I've added in a third trash depot just over here, third garbage dump, because obviously we've got, you know, two up here, but one of them's already full, and we need to unlock the incinerators. So I think we need like 16,000 people for that. We need a lot. So we're going to need that second dump. So all we can do now really is kind of just wait a little bit and let everything start to fill up again. You can see the demand for residential is kind of at a standstill. We're pushing 5,000 people now. Our commercial keeps popping in and then disappearing again. This residential zone, or sorry, this industrial zone is just in utter shambles at the moment. So let's go in and try and improve the happiness in the area a little bit. And maybe the land value a bit by just removing these abandoned businesses. Trouble is, there's so few workers coming in here at the moment that we can do this now, but all the other businesses are soon going to start getting abandoned as well. Like this one here, look, see? There just isn't enough workforce at the moment to come over here. So I might create a district and put the low education. In fact, let's do that. Let's go into our zoning tools. We want to create a district. Trying to get this squared up a bit. There we go. So let's paint a district here. I want a small size tool to start with. And I'm going to come up this way and across. And I'm not bothered about the commercial zone, it's just the residential zone that I'm trying to cover. And basically what I want to do is make sure that everything in here is going to be a low education workforce, and this will help feed our industry. We're going to need to sort out another bus route and amend our existing bus routes. There we go. So we've got Beechwood Square. So if I come into here now, come down to districts and click on here, this is where I can start setting my district policies. So I want schools out. There we go. So citizens will prefer working over education, and only a small portion of the eligible citizens will go to study in a university. Well, we don't have a university, so we don't have to worry about that. But it will encourage people to actually work rather than go and get educated. So they'll go and sort out our industry sector. There we go. There are some other policies that we can deal with and make those blanket policies. So I'm trying to remember where to go for that. There we go, policies. So we want the recycling to cut down on the amount of waste. We want smoke distribution, smoke detector distribution, and let's give Parks and Rec a boost as well. There we go. And then for taxation, do we want any taxation policies? No, well, we don't have access to those yet anyway. Same with these, we don't have any access to the city planning. We can do some events, so you can see we've got subsidised youth, come one, come all, and match security. This is for the match day stuff, but I haven't used this before yet. Plus, we don't have a stadium set up yet. That's going to be a while before we can get that set. So, at the very least, we can, roll out a couple of blanket policies that will apply everywhere, and then in this particular district, we've also added in the schools out policy as well. So if I inspect this district, you can see now there is the schools out policy there, and there's the 3 blanket policies that I've applied to everywhere. They're automatically applied, so that's awesome to see. And we're starting to get a nice little boost to our population. You can see there are a few buildings popping up in the odd place here and there. We're getting more people being born as well, which is always good. And our worker situation over here is definitely improving. As you can see, we've got new buildings going up, replacing the ones that have been torn down. We've still got a few abandoned buildings, still got a couple of worker shortages, but they are starting to disappear. And we are starting to generate a new workforce to come in and deal with this area. So I think we need to create a new transport route. We've got a second way into the industry over here, and this is also a route for our second trash dump as well, so it's got easy access to this residential block. And then we've created this loop here, which runs up to the main roundabout as well. So I might actually, let's create a junction there as well. So we've got a couple of different access routes into our industrial zone, and there we go. We've hit 5,500. Now the one we want is this one. This is the big one that we want, because this is where we get access to the blimp, the metro. We get some new policies, a lot of new policies, but more importantly, we get access to high density, and we start getting some new interesting things as well. So we actually get the incineration plant to 8.5. That's cool. That used to be used to need around 16,000 people for that, so that's great that that's been dropped in at just 8,500. So that's going to make things a bit easier, and you can see we've got some new buildings popping in there as well, which are going to be helpful. So what have we unlocked in our current milestone? Well, we've unlocked some of the city planning policies. Some more basic policies, some more roads have been dropped in. We don't need any of those just yet. New buildings though, we have got the larger police, hospital and fire service buildings. Some new tourism buildings, and we've unlocked the big bus station as well. Quite a lot we've unlocked actually, this one here. And a medical laboratory. I wonder what the medical laboratory does. That's one of the new Art Deco pack buildings, I think. Let's have a look. Biochemists and pathologists analyse clinical samples and groups of patients while creating new types of pharmaceutical medicine. The medical laboratory is a special healthcare institution which not only treats patients but also analyses viral infections. So I wonder if it's the equivalent of a CDC, perhaps. Let's see where I can plonk this in. I think just there. Oh, that's very swanky, isn't it? Very posh. Oh, it even says medical laboratory on the sign, look. Just in case you're not sure what it is. That's actually a pretty nice building. We're getting a really nice little population boost as well. So we're starting to see some real sort of growth in this new section, which is what we need. As I say, if we want to get our population up high enough, we need to have the space for our little area here to grow. Now, don't forget, we are going to be ripping most of this up as we progress, but I do need to unlock some more tiles, and I think we're going to do some terraforming soon as well to get rid of that big lump. But I want to start unlocking some more land tiles before we get into that. And we're going to play around with canals with this city as well. I want to try and create something a little bit more sort of loose and flowing. So, if you remember Jimsville was very sort of grid-based and very strict and organised in the road layouts. And then we moved on to the Snowfall City, and we kind of experimented a bit. So we had some that was very grid-based and other bits that were a bit more flowing. And while they weren't as efficient in terms of cramming people into those spaces, you know, we couldn't get the sheer numbers that we could with the grid system. It did look aesthetically a lot more pleasing, and that's what I kind of want to try and recreate, is a more aesthetically pleasing city. Something that's going to look very pretty on the eye, because we've got so many new tools available to us now with, you know, the new road system, the way we can change the elevation steps so we don't have, you know, quite steep jumps like this. We can actually make them really shallow and over a long distance as well. We don't have to have big unsightly kind of flyover systems like this anymore. We can create something that looks so much nicer, and I really want to try and experiment and play around with that this time round. And with the traffic lights and with the stop system, I want to have a proper go somewhere at putting in a diverging diamond as well. Now, I have experimented with one of those in the past. There's a Facebook group that I'm in that I actually posted a video of my diverging diamond in there, and it worked really, really well. But this is way before we had stop signs or the ability to place traffic lights at junctions, so the traffic kind of just gave way to each other, you know, based on what traffic was flowing at the time. Now we can actually put traffic lights in and make a proper diverging diamond. So I would like to try and implement one of those into our city somewhere if we get the opportunity. Up to 6,000 now, and still have a fair bit more to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up time, and I will catch up with you once, you know, this area starts to fill up a little bit more. Okay, so I've let time run on a little bit, and as you can see, we've filled up a few more of these blocks over here. There's a lot more sort of going on in this section. Our population is now up to 7,300 or so. We have a little bit of a demand creeping back in over here as well. Now, we have got some abandoned buildings, so that should quite comfortably take care of any demand that we have over here. Plus, we do still have a few gaps left where buildings might possibly spawn in, although most of these are awkward to get to. But we've got a space here on Oak Street, got another one just here on Orchard, another one there on Orchard as well. A little corner piece there we can get something in, and again on the other side on Murray Street. So there is space for some buildings to go up here in the industrial sector. But what I've also done is I've added in a little bit here. Now, we have a bus service, and I figured it was time for us to start actually working the bus service a bit better. So if I just go into roads and just do this, just so you can see the direction of our little one-way streets that I've put in there, and you can also see, which is, I think it's really kind of cool, you can actually see the contraflow on the actual bus station itself as well. You can see where the buses go in and the direction that they travel when they're coming out as well. I really do like that. And now we have two existing bus lines So I think we should take care of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete both of these lines. And we're going to start buses from scratch. There we go. So those lines are gone. So all those buses there are now going to make their way back to the depot and wait for reassignment. Now, what I'm also going to do, actually, thinking about it, if I take that out, I think we've got space to put that in just here. Yes, we do. Excellent stuff. So there we go. So we've got our bus depot next to our bus stops. Brilliant. So let's create some new bus routes. So first things first, we need something that's going to service this area. And we also need something that's going to sort of service this area, and then something that's going to service this area. I want to make something a little bit easier for our buses to navigate. So what I'm going to do, let's go to straight, so I'm just going to add in a road across the bottom. I moved the basketball court when I did my expansion, so I'm going to have to remove it and move it again, but that's fine. Oh, these are all one-way roads, aren't they? I don't want one-way roads. I can afford it. It's quicker to just remove these and start again. There we go. So let's just draw this all the way along the bottom here. To there. There we go. So those will start filling themselves back in. Let me just quickly, before I forget, let me drop that basketball court back in again. So I think it's just here it needs to go. And let me check the zoning. Yeah, that's where it needed to be. Okay, good stuff. Yeah, so what we can do now with our bus routes is we can create a route that's going to service Beechwood. We can do a route that's going to service this district here, and then a route that's going to service this district here, and they can kind of loop around the district and then return back to the depot. From here, what I also want to do is create a route that's going to service this part of the industry, and then another route that's going to service this part of the industry, and have them as two separate routes. So let's start off doing the industry ones first. So I want a yellow route, and it's giving me a yellow one as our first stop. That's quite handy. So we'll start off servicing this part of the industry. So we're going to go in this way. I'm just looking to see where I need to be. So I want to create the basic layout of the route first of all. Just wondering whether it's better to go in the other way. No, we'll go in this way. We'll go to here, and then we'll come back down again. We can add in additional stops as we go. Just looking to create the basic loop to start with. I want to come in this way, so I'm going to need a stop there, and then we're going to come out and loop around this way, hopefully. Yes, there we go. So let's start adding in some extra stops. So let's add a stop in wrong side of the road. Come on, highlight the stop. There we go. Let's drag that onto the right side of the road. There we go. So I've got to stop there. I've got to stop there. Bus is going to come out this way, come up here, come back down again. Put a stop here, like that. Let's move this stop to there, so we've got sort of a route that kind of comes up this way, and then we've got a stop here. That's fine, and that can then service these bits, and these bits, and obviously we've also got this stop here that can service these bits as well. And then it's going to come out and loop back in. So there we go, that's our first industrial route. So now we need to create industrial route number 2. So a different shade of yellow, there we go. And this one is going to come in this way. Okay. And it's going to come along here. And it's going to stop there. And then this is going to be a very short route. We'll get it to pick up on the opposite side of the road as well. We might as well. There we go. And then this is going to loop around back into the depot. So it's going to come back down around the roundabout, back down here, and then in through the one-way system there. And there you can see our new buses leaving the depot, going straight to the bus centre, the bus terminal. So we have our bus lines for our industrial routes in place, and we are servicing, people into these zones for employment purposes. Now we need to create our next set of bus routes, which are going to be our district bus routes. So let's start off with a nice green one here. There we go, that'll do. So this one's going to service Beechwood, and the basic premise of this is going to be to collect people in this district and then bring them back to the bus station. So we're going to want to go along here. Oh, and there we go, we've unlocked 8,500, excellent. We'll keep going with this. We'll let this area build up a bit, and we can start dropping in some high density as well to really boost the number of people in this area. Stop at the park, and then come down here, and we'll stop along the bottom section. Like that. So rather than a simple route that turns around and then goes back the way it came, this is just going to be a really basic, straightforward loop. Like that. And that will service all of Beechwood, and that's going to please all the people in here. So we're going to start seeing houses levelling up. We're going to start seeing people being born. There's another house levelling up, someone else moving into that property. We're going to see a lot of that, which is good. I need to do something similar for this district, and then I also need to do something similar for this district as well. So let's get the next route up and running. Why do we have a wait here? Maybe it's just letting people getting onto the bus, maybe. Right, so let's get a different shade of green. I mean, we don't have to do colours like this. It's just I like to have colours representative of the routes they're going to. So if you've got a large commercial zone, I like to run a blue bus to the commercial zone because commercials are blue. Same with a light blue for offices, yellow for industrials, green for residentials. It just makes it a little bit easier. But you get to a certain point where you just can't do that because you have too many buses running. So this service is going to run to here and across and all the way along here. And then down. And this again is going to be a very basic loop. And then this will come back down here and then loop into the zone like that. Excellent stuff. And now we need a third route for our other zone. So let's find a different shade of green again. That's a horrible looking colour. Let's keep going through. And I know we were meant to do this last time and we completely forgot. As soon as this route is created, we'll come in and we'll check to see if we can actually manually change colours. Is that a different enough shade? Let's try and find a slightly different shade of green. That's a sort of a turquoisey colour. Oh, it's a very dark green. Yeah, let's go with this one. Again, something a little bit different. So, in fact, is that even black? No, it is a dark green, isn't it? So, we'll run to here. And then here. And there. And all the way along the top of that zone. And then all the way along the bottom of this zone here. I can't get over just how dark that green is. If we can change the colours of bus routes, this is the one we're going to be changing. Because it is really dark. A lot darker than I thought. And then that again will loop back and complete the line there. So there we go. We have 3 separate routes. I just want to add in maybe 1 additional stop on the side of each. Actually, no. We'll keep it nice and simple, nice and straightforward. So, can we actually edit this bus route? Let's find one of the buses. There we go. There's one of our brand new, really dark green buses. So, we've got the follow option, got the rename, the edit, and oh, the traffic view one. Okay, well, we want to go into edit. Can we change the colour? No, we can rename the line, we can modify it or delete it, change its active time, view vehicles and stops. Oh, that's a new feature. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So we can have a look at all the different stops and we can see how many people are waiting at each stop. We can see where the buses are in relation to the route itself and how many people are on each bus. That's actually really clever. Can I move where the bus is? No, I can't. Okay, well, it's worth a try. But there was something else I spotted as well. Look at this. We can actually change individual bus routes now. Oh, that's so good. They're so good because on some routes you want a lot of buses and on others you want really, really periodical routes where they don't run a lot of buses at all. And before we couldn't do that. We couldn't change the number of buses on individual lines. It was you changed all the lines or you changed none of the lines. It was that black and white. Now we can get in there, we can modify each individual line. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's going to make things so much easier as our city gets bigger and we really start to have some bus congestion issues. That's going to help immensely. So we can't change the colours still of individual lines. That's a bit frustrating, but we can get everything else done. Okay. Well, we're learning some new things. I don't know how long that's been in, but I'm guessing those recent changes to bus lines are part of the mass transit update. There will have been some features that will be free as part of the patch, you know, the sort of update patch to prep the game for mass transit, and then certain features and certain building types will be locked to the DLC itself. So, for example, the monorail is part of mass transit, so you have to have the mass transit DLC for that. But I think the traffic lights and junction management is actually part of the free update. So even if you don't have mass transit, you should still be able to go in and change priority on junctions, things like that. There will be some of these features that you will be able to use without the DLC, and some that you will need to have the DLC for. I don't have a complete breakdown of exactly what that list is, but I'm sure it'll be on the Paradox website on the patch notes there. Now we're getting a worker shortage inside our commercial zones. That's a bit of a... we dealt with the issue in here. Now we've got the issue in here. That's a bit odd. Hopefully that will sort itself out. Let me check our education stats. We don't have a university. We might need to actually put one in, actually. And what was the faculty building? University students who wish to specialise in certain areas go to the faculty buildings. Each building educates Sims in one subject, like astronomy, arts, biology or law. Students can pick and choose which one of these buildings to go to, or a main university, but each faculty building operates individually. Oh, that's interesting. So if I pick one of these, how do I choose its type? We plonk a couple of these next to each other, like that. I guess we do that in inspect. You know, I keep forgetting we have this relocate tool, so you can actually pick up and move buildings rather than destroy them and rebuild them. How do I get the chance to choose the specialty in this? Maybe it's in... Maybe I need a regular university, which is entirely possible. Okay, let's take that out, because we're going to drop our university in there. Oh, that's a faculty. There we go. There's the university. Oh, it won't fit. That damn spacing issue won't fit. All right, let's just demolish this section of living space. There we go, and plonk the university there. So let's put that park back in. I think it was a large playground, I think it was. There we go, yep. Okay, so... Again, I'm not seeing... Oh look, there they are, just different colours. They're automatically different colours, so... It doesn't say which one's which. So how do we know which one is for which specialty? Oh, rather handily, we have a bus stop right outside our faculty buildings and opposite a university. That's worked out quite well. Yeah, see, it doesn't say. This must be one of the Art Deco editions. Again, I haven't really played about with those yet either, but you can see here it says we've got 4 different types. But we don't know which type is which building. Ah, well, maybe we need a 4th one, but we'll stick with the 3 for now. And we have our university, so that should now help deal with our educated worker problem, because that's the problem we're having here. Not enough educated workers. We have some that are educated, some that are well educated, not enough highly educated. Now with those universities, that problem will start to go away. Now, don't forget, this district here is a working district, so most of the people in this district will choose to go and work in the industry sector rather than work in the commercial sector, and hardly any of those will be eligible to go to university, but yeah, they do have that option now. We should have unlocked mass density as well, high density. I'm wondering if we should maybe plonk in a bit of high density in this middle zone here. I think we probably should. So let's rezone a couple of these blocks into high density. There we go. And that should deal with our shortfall of housing by making those into high density blocks. Just have to wait for those to kind of build their way up. And hopefully that will bring in more people that can go through the education system and sort out our worker shortage in the commercial sector. If it's not one, it's the other. You can see we're getting a lot of abandoned buildings in our commercial zone now. It'll sort itself out, and the buses will help distribute workers around the various areas as well. So we just have to ride this out a little bit. But everything will eventually kind of settle back down again. So I'm not overly panicked by this. And we're so close to that 8,500. We're actually losing a few people there. Now they're coming back in again. Come on, give us the 8,500. Oh, we've already got it, haven't we? We hit it because that's how we got the high density stuff. So that means I can now drop in an incineration plant or two, which is good news. So let me remove... Oh, it's not empty, so I can't... Where do I want to put these? Let's put a couple there. Like that. And then let's put... Can I squeeze one in there? On the end? Nope. So let's plonk it on this side instead. That is going to increase the amount of traffic on that junction at the roundabout. So we may start to get a few queues around there. We'll see how we do. What I also need to do is I need to sort out my intersections. So make sure I've got road priority where it needs to be. Keep the main road around the outside completely sorted. And that's a side road, isn't it? Okay, there we go. So that sorts out there. Got traffic lights here. Let's change that to a stop sign. Actually, no. I'm a bit concerned about that. Let's put traffic lights back on. There we go. How are we looking over here? All looking okay. All looking fine over there. I need to sort out priority on this road. So we haven't done that yet. We've got traffic lights. Let's turn that off. And let's set stop signs on all of these. There we go. And then we'll do the same along here. Keep the bottom road the priority road. Oops. And we'll give buses... Actually, no, we don't need to worry about priority there, do we? But we do need to put a stop sign in there. And then same again, I'm going to just make this road along here a priority road. Like so. Excellent stuff. Do I need to do that over here as well? Yes, I do. Oh, got some traffic lights on that junction. Let's turn those off. And there as well. And I'll put a stop there, I think. So here is this main road along here. Again, we've got traffic lights there. Let's turn those off. Want stop signs on the side roads, not the main road itself. Alright, that's looking good. That's looking better. So, our commercial zone is still taking a bit of a hammering, but you can see we're starting to get a wave of new people in here. I'm not going to upgrade the commercial zones just yet, but I am going to continue to zone in some more high density. And we'll do the same over here by the university and the faculties as well. There we go. So that should give us a really big population boost. In fact, let's just do it all the way across here. There we go. And we should start to see a real boost in our on our numbers of population through here. So once again, our commercial is going to take a bit of a hit as some of these people move out because they have no homes before new buildings start to go in and they start to come back again. That's why our population has dipped down to under 8,000 to well, under 8,500 quite considerably. That'll rebound pretty soon, so I'm not too worried about that at all. So let's wait for these buildings to grow back and see where we stand after that. So as the sun starts to set and the lights start flickering on all across our fledgling city, you can see that quite a lot of this zone has started to rebuild itself now. Got a lot of buildings in place, not that many gaps left anymore. Our population is now just under 10,000. And some of our commercial buildings have been rebuilt as well. There are still some that are suffering worker shortages, and there are still some that are suffering from abandonment issues as well. But generally, we seem to be doing quite well. Let's take a look. Info views. Let's take a look at our education. There we go. So you can see in terms of elementary, we have a capacity of 600, but we have a lot of people who are eligible. We might need to drop another elementary school in. High school, again, we're way over capacity. Not enough people are getting through that. And university there, you can see we're well underneath capacity at university level. I think we're going to need to drop in probably a second high school and certainly at least one more elementary. So let's see, there's our two elementaries there. Now we don't really want to cover this area too much. So let's see, let's drop a... It means getting rid of this building here, but I'd like to drop that next to the park, I think, that elementary school. And where do we want the high school? Got one there. Do I stick another one here? Perhaps, but out of the way. Now I like the idea of keeping it a little bit more central. Let's see if we can squeeze it in here. There we go. So that'll please quite a lot of people there. It'll also sort out our stats as well. So you can see we now have plenty of capacity for our high schools. We have 2,000 spaces and 1,700 people who are eligible. So we're good there. And if we check out elementary, you can see we're still under capacity. I suppose we could probably do with one more elementary. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3. Let's stick the other one over here. There we go. So now we're about at capacity. And again, we're keeping them away from this district because I want to try and keep this an uneducated, unskilled section, primarily to feed our industrial zones so they don't struggle. So I think with a little bit of time, our population will continue to grow, our workforce will continue to improve, and we will start to see a lot of these issues that we're having in our commercial section just fix themselves as we get more and more educated people out into the working world. You can see a lot of buildings leveling up, a lot of new people popping in places. You can see there's green arrows and those birth symbols popping in all over the place at the moment, boosted by the improvement in the services. Speaking of, how are our fire and police services doing? Well, we've got 3 small fire services over here, and then we've got 1 over there. I think we could possibly do with a larger one over here. What about police? Again, we've got 1, 2, 3 small police stations there. We don't have a police station over here. Maybe we could stick one in there on Murray Street next to our fire depot, and they can then cover our industrial zones, hopefully. And I'm just going to do something a little bit sneaky, and I'm going to connect these together, hopefully. There we go. And now Murray Street links our 2 areas together, primarily for our emergency services more than anything else, so they can see straight away police taking advantage of that. Now they will obviously go off and do stuff in the city as well, but as long as they are able to move around this area a bit freer, that should help cut down on the number of fires and the problems we have with burglary. So there we go. We've made some quite nice changes to our city. We've got a whole burgeoning area in the centre here that's growing up quite nicely. We can look at getting in some more high density stuff for commercial as we move forward. Have we got access to offices yet? Yes, we do. So we could even throw in some office work in places as well. Kind of mix up our commercial zones a little bit. Have some turn into high density commercial, some turn into office spaces. But for now, I think that's a pretty good place to end this. So I will call it a day here. We'll let the city run on a little bit more. What is our next unlock? Our next unlock is about to happen. So we'll stick around for that. We'll get the next unlock and then we'll see where we go from there. Just need a few more people. Let's try and tidy up this area a little bit. Improve the quality of these districts slightly by taking out these abandoned buildings. And there we go. That's 12,000. So now we have access to the train, the monorail, and the cable car. On top of that, we also have some new road types. Obviously, cable car tracks, monorail tracks, roads with monorails. We've got the new train stations, as you can see. So we've got standard and cargo, the multi-platform stations, the cable car stuffs, a monorail station, and we've also got the monorail bus hub and the metro monorail train hub as well. So a couple of really, really useful buildings that we've just unlocked there. Plus the hydro dam as well, so we could use that as a potential source of power moving forward. But I think this is as good a place as any to end this particular episode, so I'll let this run on a little bit, let the population improve a bit more, and then once that has happened, we will then look at grabbing some more land and starting work on our proper section of the city. So I'll just turn that building off, or is it emptying? I turned it off, didn't I? There we go. So there we go. There is JBPG City as it currently stands. Next time we will start looking at expanding and really building the city properly, and this stuff will then eventually get torn up and replaced. But until that happens, we will let this grow in the background, because this will be unlocking things for us while we're going. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with the next episode of our City Skylines mass transit playthrough very soon.